Okay, hello everyone. I told Adam I wasn't sure if it was a good thing or a bad thing to be the last speaker of the day, the last speaker of the conference. So I have some good news and some bad news for you. The good news is I'm the last speaker, and you all get to go home or to cocktails or wherever after this, or to both, as some of us are planning. The bad news is that almost everything I'm going to talk about, you've already heard about, okay? A lot of recurring themes today, right? In fact, I begged Laura before she came up, I said, can you please not take the one last thing in my presentation that no one's talked about yet? And then she did, so it's okay. And like John, you know, I came back to this, I think we had to submit our abstracts for these presentations sometime in May. And then by the time I got to where I wanted to put my presentation together, I'm like, understanding the industrial customer journey. What was I thinking? And so I'm gonna tweak it for you a little bit now, and how I'm gonna talk about understanding the industrial customer journey is from the perspective of a marketing communications leader, and how do you enable sales in the industrial customer journey. So I'm gonna talk about a lot of the same things that all of my esteemed pre-presenters have talked about, but from a slightly different perspective. So I need to get the clicker, and then we will go. You said the big green button, Jeff. There we go. Okay. All right. So I'm hoping that all of you got to hear Emerson's Chief Marketing Officer, Kathy Button-Bell, speak yesterday. Always great to hear her tell our story. Emerson, you know, big global company. We've been around for over 125 years. Absolutely, you know, a very strong engineering industrial company. Lots of numbers up there. You know, what you can take away from this is that, you know, we're not going anywhere. We're very strong, and engineering is in our DNA, right? So I'll tell you a little bit about me, and I'll give you some more numbers, and then what I hope that you will take away from what I'm sharing with you. So as Adam said, I've been with Emerson for 17 years. So I started when I was 4. I represent, or I provide support for 3 of our business units in the discrete industrial group. And I have 60 global team members, everywhere from Tokyo to Costa Rica and everywhere in between. We cover 9 categories of expertise in the Emerson portfolio, and that includes 10 product brands out of a much larger number of Emerson product brands. And then on top of that, I have all of these stakeholders that I have to serve at these 3 businesses. Our world area leaders, our marketing leaders, our sales leaders, who all want totally different things, believe it or not. So today, what I'm going to talk about is really what I have learned about the broad range of what's expected of us, of what we have to do as marketers to support our industrial customers and the sales guys that are selling to them, and how we need to think about doing that with the limited resources we have. I know I have a big team, but spread out all over like that, you still got one person doing everything here, right? The next thing that I'm going to talk to you about is planning, and why you have to do that to really be effective. And then you also have to change some of the behaviors, and you guys will know what I'm talking about when I get there. And then really, how do we help the sales team understand the part they play in the customer journey that's changing, right? It is evolving. We're all hearing about it, you know. And you have some sales guys that are, you know, a little bit intimidated. You know, they still, you know, have an idea of how things should be done, and they're not really sure where they fit in when we start, you know, going straight to customers through our digital means, right? So helping them to understand how they can complement that. So this should be really, really easy, right? Like, no problem. We don't have anything in our way, right? No challenges whatsoever. Being a marketer in an engineering company, we have historically always been treated as a service, right? Just, hey, go get them to make your brochure. Oh, you need an image? Go get them to do that. You know, not really any planning, you know, with just lots of stakeholders. We don't just do, you know, product launches and trade shows. We get pulled into HR. We get pulled in a ton of different directions, right? So it's just kind of like, walk over there and ask them, tell them what you want, and oh, by the way, I need it yesterday, right? The other challenge is, and I've heard it a couple of times while I've been in here today, sales and marketing is not always aligned, right? Maybe on a singular or a set of business objectives, they're aligned, but how they're going to get there and how they're going to tactically execute to get there might be totally different, right? And then the pace of change in industrial is just slower, right? I mean, we're 125 plus years old. We've got products in our portfolio that are 100 years old, and we manufacture them the same way we did 100 years ago. I mean, we don't have this they're talking B2B out here, and it's wonderful stuff. It's a great conference. They're talking B2B out there, and they're talking about tech. And I'm like, yeah, okay, well, we're not totally redoing our products every 18 months. We're a little bit slower than that. But it's changing though, isn't it, right? Industrial Internet of Things, smart, connected products, right? We're all kind of having to face it there. So we're ramping up even a little bit, and that's a challenge for us as marketers. I gotta remember not to do that. So, and then the other thing that I've learned is I have a really fantastic team. I have great people, but we can't do it all. We can't, this is why we need to have partners like Cadenas Part Solutions and great industrial marketing agencies and folks that do PR that get us, folks that can help us write content, right? We can't do it all ourselves. But that costs money, and that requires coordination, right? So you've got this constantly evolving landscape of your organization and the third parties that you use and trying to manage all that to get all this stuff done, right? It's easy, right? Okay, so one of the things that I have thought a lot about, and this is what you stole from me, Laura. She didn't steal it. This is going on everywhere, right? Everyone's talking about, we go out and we talk to our customers, and the boomers are retiring, the millennials are coming in, and they don't know anything. You got to provide us training, and it's got to be this, and it's got to be that, and they consume this way, and they consume that way. And, anecdotally and kind of instinctively, there were a lot of things that I knew or had made assumptions about. And so I went out and I tried to do some research to support my hypothesis. And, I didn't really find anything that was too earth-shattering. Okay, yeah, so we know that boomers like to talk on the phone or meet face-to-face, and the millennials like to text more, right? But all of these are really generalizations, too, right? My father, who is a strong boomer, would much rather text any day of the week than talk to anybody on the phone. And my millennial son would really probably rather call a lot of times. So, these are really generalizations. The real problem with this is that there are differences in behavior. We can't really pigeonhole people, but we've got to recognize that we do have this variety in our customer base, right? They are consuming differently. They are, they have certain preferences. But then the real challenge is we have that same variety in our sales force and how they feel comfortable presenting material to our customers, how they feel comfortable using tools and things like that. So as I was trying to come up with this great chart to show you guys how much I understood about generational stuff, I was like, wow, okay, well that's what we've got to do, right? We've got to equip all of these different guys with all of this different stuff. So we got to be everywhere everybody is, right? So where is everybody? Well, they're everywhere, right? You've got everybody using social media. You've got everybody that's doing Google search. You got to have a great website. You got to be at the trade shows. You got to be sending emails. You really have to be everywhere. And really, generational differences aside, they're all everywhere too, right? So that's our challenge, is how do we get it all out there? So another challenge that I was thinking about, and I really hope that this doesn't resonate with any of you, but how it's been for us historically is one of our stakeholders, let's say a product marketing manager, will come and say, hey, we're launching a product. And we're like, oh, okay. What can we do to help? What do you need? We need a catalog page and a brochure, maybe some website update. And we're like, okay, well, when do you need it? Well, in a couple weeks, we're launching the product. So can't have the conversation about who are we targeting, why do they care, Is a brochure really the best way to reach those people? Is a brochure what the sales guy needs to really help launch that product and meet our objectives? So what we're trying to shift to in my group is understand what's going on before it happens. Being proactive about getting there. This is about starting to talk about that plan, right? Understanding what you're gonna have coming up. And there's always gonna be ad hoc stuff. There's always gonna be those last minute requests. But if we can go in and say, what products are you launching this year? Or what industry or what applications are you trying to penetrate? What geographical regions are you trying to penetrate? Who do you wanna talk to there? What do you wanna say to them? And then when we figure that out, then we say, wow, this is easy installation. The best way to demonstrate that to customers is to show them how easy it is to install it. And the best way to show them is with a video. Or actually, let's have it as a demo at the trade show. Or, for another activity, it may be a social media campaign. And so it's getting the business out of this mindset of always, it's a brochure and a catalog page. And then if you ask the sales guys, how many people in here are in sales? Well, you guys don't count. So you ask the sales guys what they want. They're like, well, what do you got? Well, we could do a video. Yeah, that sounds great. We could do some social media. That would be great. How about a LinkedIn article? That would be awesome. That'd be really great. Like, they'll say yes to everything. Just give it all to me, whether or not it'll help. So our job and our responsibility is to understand who they're trying to reach and what they're trying to achieve, right? What are they trying to get them to do? And then what is the best communication tool, or what is the best content to help them get there, okay? So then you know what you gotta do, right? You know kind of what content you wanna build out. Ideally, on top of this content bar is some idea or planning of some campaigns or a set of activities that are kind of linked together so that you can have a cohesive strategic messaging plan, right? Because if you've got some consistent and cohesive messaging, it makes it much easier to create that content, right? You don't have to keep going back to your SMEs and your sales guys going, what are we saying about this again? Like, why is this valuable again? So if you get that all laid out, and then you know what kind of content you need to produce. And let's face it, the catalogs ain't going away, right? Not yet, anyway. Things are changing, but they're still there. And we've got to have all this digital content as well. So you lay out everything that you've got to do, and then you got to figure out, we can't all do it ourselves, right? You got to figure out, what are we going to do in-house? What are we going to have to outsource? Wow, we've got to do 50 videos this year. Last year we only did 20. Maybe we should let's just bring on a video company and we'll give them everything and we'll just let that go. Figure out we can't do it all, right? And every piece of content we create and the time we spend on that is so precious. And so you have to take that content and you have to push it out everywhere. Great example from John with that one piece of main content and then amplifying it. You use multiply, I say amplify. Amplifying that out in multiple ways. We do 125 press releases a year. And what we're trying to do is take that press, because the press release is the what, right? The press release is, we got a cool new product, or we're gonna be going somewhere over here. We're building a little innovation center over here. That's the what. All of the corollary or the complementary content that you can build off of that, whether it's a series of social posts, or it's a technology article, or it's a white paper, or even if it ends up being a guide or a brochure or something, that's the why and the who cares and the what's in it for me, right? So if we just took our press releases and did that, we'd be making a lot of traction. And that's that amplifying the content. So Gartner did a study, and unfortunately, I don't remember the guy's name. He was really, really nice. He saw what I was allegedly talking about today and sent me a link to this study, and which I found some really good nuggets in there. And a couple of folks have already alluded to this. The industrial buying process is really tough and long and hard, and there's a lot of stuff, a lot of challenges that our customers have to overcome just to even figure out what they're going to buy, right? So 77% of them, I think it was about 750 that were surveyed, 77% of them said it was hard, it sucked, it was complex, it was a struggle, right? And why, so they've got to do all of this research, they got to do all this stuff up front, they got to go out and find all the information. They're spending less and less time with the sales guys, right? Because they don't have time to meet with the sales guys all the time. They got to know what they're talking about. And the reason they got to know what they're talking about is because they've got to go through 3 or 4 layers of folks to get consensus on the solution, right? It's not just one person making a decision. So the buying process is really, really hard. And our job as marketers, marketing to them, is to make it as easy as possible. By how? By putting as much content out there as possible through as many channels as we can, right, to reach them. So Gartner called it buyer enablement. And what I thought was interesting when I was looking at what they considered buyer enablement and how you achieve that nirvana, these were the tools that they suggested, or the enablers for the buyers. And I'm looking at this, and I'm like, yeah, okay, I know that. Yeah, we've got configurators, and we've got white papers, and we've got all that. And I'm thinking about it, as buyer enablement as opposed to like sales enablement, kind of a different idea. And I'm looking, I'm like, this is all digital. This is stuff we would deploy digitally, right? This is on the website, or this is something we're linking through to our website. And I started thinking about, well, okay, where's the sales guy? I'm supposed to be talking about, like, where's the sales guy in all this, right? How does this help them, right? So we've also got to make it easy for the sales guys, right? And how do we do that? So the first thing we do is we get alignment with them on understanding how they're going about what they're doing. What kind of tools do they need to achieve their objectives, right? Creating a communications strategy and a content plan that isn't just going to support our marketing leaders and our product marketing guys that are coming to us and our engineers, but also supporting how the sales guys need to go to market, okay? Understanding what motivates them. Then we also got to tell them, once we create all this great content and once we put it out there and once we make it available to the customers, we got to let them know. We got to tell them. We got to let them know that that stuff is out there where they can access it, right? We got to tell them what our customers are reading. What are they consuming? What are they clicking on? What are they interested in? We have to let them know where they can find what they need. And we need to include them in that proactive planning when we're talking about any activity that we're doing. We have to show them the data. It's about marketing your marketing, right? That's about showing them that we are bringing value through the leads we're generating, through the potential customers that we're contacting. Show them the reach of a specific white paper or a technology page or something that we put together. When they see the leads that are being generated by that, then they recognize our value, which in an engineering company is really great. And then your deployment tactics. Help them understand why you're going where you're going. If you're saying that a video is going to be best, tell them why. Let them know. Let them understand that if this is how we're going to deploy certain content, this is why. This is what we're hoping to do with it. This is what we're trying to achieve. And then we've got to give them access to everything. These sales enablement hubs. I heard a little bit of talk about it in the conference earlier, and then a couple of colleagues that I've talked to over the course of today, we've talked about it too. Don't give them catalogs. Give them access to everything in a digital tool. Give them, and then show them how to use it, and then let them know when it's updated. Give them what they need in the palm of their hand so they can talk to customers effectively. One of the things that I think it was, I've heard several people say it, but I can't remember exactly who said it in one of the sessions, was you have to learn how to say no. You got to say no. And I was laughing about it because when my team says no, I get rogue sales guys going off and making presentations and ordering promotional items, and we lose all control of branding. So I always tell my team, don't say no, just ask more questions. Now I'm going to say no to the let's print a doorstop brick 8,000-page catalog for $250,000. That you can say no to, right? But you got to be pretty accommodating, right? So you got to give them templates. You got to give them options. You got to make it easy for them. As we're all trying to watch our pennies, as we're all trying to make the most out of our people, and really getting them, you got to make things at a click of a button for the sales guys to be able to get what they need. And you have to you have to constantly remind them of where that button is for them to get what they need and what's going to be there when they get there. So, all right, so just a quick wrap up. So, and I told you I wasn't going to take the whole half hour, so, which is good for everyone, right? So just to wrap it up, we do have a lot of challenges ahead of us, right? We've got, the boomers are still here for a while. We keep talking about when they're going to retire, but I'm a Gen Xer and I've been waiting a while, so they're still around. We're going to have, and it's not even so much about the people and the expectations of whether it's a customer or it's one of our sales folks or someone else in our business. It's that the technology is changing so fast, right? And so we're going to be straddling this catalogs and blogs and social and all this stuff for a while. And that means that we are going to have a lot of content out there, and we've got to be efficient and effective about getting it out there in those channels so we can reach everybody and we can help as many salespeople. We can enable them. We've got to be able to do that, and we've got to plan and be proactive to do it and stop being a service, right? Be a part of the strategy. Build that communication strategy that marries up with the business objectives. And then you got to help your sales guys. I feel like we really have to take the responsibility of showing them the value of the content we're creating and how we're putting it out there, and then helping them understand where they complement that, how they do, complement the digital stuff and amplify it, and they don't have to worry about carting around catalogs in the trunks of their car. They can go in and really have a meaningful, higher impact interaction with the customer, because that customer's already going to be informed on a lot of stuff, right? So they can go in and make more of the 17% of time that they're spending with suppliers. So that is my wrap up. I did it again. I went under time. But that's okay. So I'm at Kerry.Nedic at Emerson.com. I married well in the name department. Nedic, nobody's named Nedic. So I'm really, really easy to find. I'm at KNedic on LinkedIn and on Twitter. This is my first content marketing world, and I've found it fascinating. I hope you guys have enjoyed it as much as I have. And I appreciate you sticking around till the last minute to hear what I had to say. So thank you very much, and safe travels getting home. Is that